I'm delighted to be sharing with you the 3 huge mistakes that most solopreneurs make that actually keep them struggling endlessly to find high-end clients. And what I'm not saying there, but is totally true, is that if they're struggling to find high-end clients, they're also struggling to take home a decent income at the end of the day. So I'm delighted to have this time with you. I think that this is something that people don't warn entrepreneurs about enough. And let me tell you what I mean when I say entrepreneurs are not warned. The statistics of what entrepreneurs go through are just crazy. You know, somebody said to you, hey, welcome, we're going on a fabulous journey together, and you've got a 94% chance of struggling like crazy and a 50% chance of failure. How many people here, just out of curiosity, would actually put their hands up, would put your hands up if you would love to take that journey? Just put your hands up if you think that sounds like fun. Okay, not surprisingly, I'm not seeing a lot of hands going up. But the actual harsh reality of life as an entrepreneur in this country, in the United States, and I don't sound like I'm from here, but I'm a very proud citizen and I'm as American as apple pie. I just talk funny. But the chart you're looking at right now is actually the 4-year survival rate of businesses, and it averages out at about 50. So, you know, of everybody on the call, about half are likely to make a 4-year mark with their business. And as if that isn't scary enough, this is probably the one that really just kind of upsets me a little bit. We spoke through that one. But the Ewing Kaufman Foundation has measured that 94%, that is a huge, overwhelming majority, never break $100,000 of revenue. And, you know, that number upsets me at so many different levels because, first of all, it's a revenue statement. It's not a, you get to take this home at the end of the day and have fun with your business. So this is why I say that, yeah, and I mean, for those of us, I think most people on the call are United States or the Americas, United States and Canada. And what we know for sure is that if you are living here, it's actually incredibly difficult to live on a portion of 100,000 if you're a normal family. And service-based entrepreneurs, the average, and I hope these numbers are useful to you. I didn't know them when I went into business. But the average service-based successful business is striving to take out about 30% of their revenue. Now, when you're pretty small, you don't have a lot of staff, and it's quite possible you're taking out more than 30%, but as soon as you start having staff and labor to help you so that you actually have some free time, about 30%. I've seen some make it up to 35. Many never get past 10. So this number is an incredibly concerning number, and it's the reason why I, you know, much as I talk about breaking 6 figures, I want to assure you that I'm honestly not about the money, and I don't really think any of my clients are. Most of them are much more inspired about having a life, having time for their kids, their husbands, their families, and most of them have an extraordinary purpose. So most of them have something they're passionate about, and they really want to leave the planet to having made a difference and, you know, living on purpose. So it's not really about making sickening quantities of money. But it's upsetting to me that 94% of people can't even get to, because if you're under this level, chances are you're just plain battling. And I don't really want that for anybody. I really don't. So my life purpose is honestly, I love entrepreneurs. They're very special people. It takes a lot of guts and crazies and passion to ever even consider becoming one. But I'm on a little, I feel a little bit vulnerable saying this, but I feel like my purpose on the planet is to make it a heck of a lot easier and to substantially change this number. I don't want 94% of people to be struggling with this. And I certainly don't want anybody who's touched me or my programs or my work to be stuck in this horrible set. So, and you know, and there's some really good news if we can get you into the 6 figures, because of the 6% that actually make it in, a full 4% of those go on to get into 7 figures. So it's almost like if you can crack the code of getting through to the 6-figure revenue mark, it's not that huge a leap to actually get into the 7-figure mark. So that's kind of the good news of that. But having coached businesses, solopreneurs and tiny businesses for a long time now, what I have just been become painfully aware of is that a huge percentage of the 94% that don't make it are struggling with the same old issues, and I'll tell you what the issues are straight off the gate here. It's clarity, it's the ability to find clients, and it's the ability to have some cash smarts. And the last one's by far the easiest one to fix because it's totally teachable. The other two are a little bit more difficult to fix. But the clarity is what we're going to be working on today, and I'll show you a little bit more about the other two and where we can get help. But clarity is the thing that actually traps about 85% of those 94. So most people, if we can just get this right, the rest is actually pretty smooth sailing. So, so I hope that that gives, after my fear factor start here, I hope that that actually makes you feel a little bit more encouraged that, you know, if we can fix the 85% of the problem, we've got an excellent chance of actually getting people to have a very different result. So let me tell you a little bit about me, not because I want to go on about me. I absolutely want to use this time as much as I can for you, but I just want to tell you just enough so that you know that I'm somewhat credible. I never planned to be an entrepreneur. I planned to be a landscape design. I love flowers, I love gardens, and honestly, I would have been stone happy as somebody's wife. And that really was my plan. I lost my husband early on in my career, just after having a baby. Kind of changed up, you know, upended my world pretty big time. But that was when I started my first business, and I had a lot of passion in me to try and, you know, replace his income and look after my baby, and it sort of pushed me through some of the crazy hump to make me become an entrepreneur. And I've always been pretty much fascinated with how things work and what makes things successful. But anyway, my first business was amazing. My second business was exactly the same as my first. I was an IT consultant. I only actually knew how to do computers. So my first two businesses were that. And when I became a business coach, I can tell you that I had, my very early time was actually painful. It was really painful. Because like everybody who hasn't gotten through 6 figures with a new business, I was struggling with the same 3 things as anybody else struggles with: clarity, clients, cash. And the hard thing about being a business coach is, you know, you actually start feeling like a downright fake. Because here, you know, I'd started 2 successful businesses, very successful businesses. I felt qualified to be a business coach. But when I was trying to be a business coach, I honestly struggled at first. And then I had the added, you know, embarrassment of being a business coach who was struggling, because that just didn't seem right, and I was starting to have major authenticity issues and feeling like I was a total fraud. But I did figure it out, and I figured it out pretty quickly in my first year of business, and I really want to give you some of the biggest shifts today that helped me figure it out. And these things helped me figure out my first $10,000 month. And I sure as heck am never going back to another $10,000 month. We make a heck of a lot more than that on a monthly basis now. So, so I don't want to go on and on about me, but I do just want you to know I've been there. And where I am today is I feel like I'm in a place of enormous gratitude, and honestly a place of enormous humility. Because the more I've worked with entrepreneurs, you know, I went through this awful stage of being a sassy business coach where I was so proud of me and what I was earning and how much money I was making, and I thought I was the bee's knees. And I think I've moved right through that awful phase to actually look at and see how many of, you know, clients have struggled, and just to be enormously grateful and humble for the help that I am able to bring them, because it just gives my life a purpose and a meaning. But the things I'm particularly grateful for, guys, are that I fill big rooms of audiences, and, you know, that I have the ability to teach in ballrooms. This was at the I think this was at the Four Seasons. I can't remember which event this was, but this picture was at. But I do love being able to have an impact on so many entrepreneurs. I'm grateful to have a team so that it's not me doing all the work anymore, because that's a really difficult phase in an entrepreneur's life. And mostly I'm grateful that this beautiful little girl who caused me to go into business in the first place has grown, and I've had enough time to be a decent mom to her. And I've just come back from a super visit to the farm where she's working in Massachusetts over Memorial Weekend, and she turned out to be a great kid. So and I should mention, I had my first vacation since I started this business 4 years ago, just to tell you that I'm not immune to some of the difficulties here. because you know, we've rocked and we've grown so quickly. It's been really difficult to stop, but I'm finally in a place where I can go away on vacation and not take my PC and not do a blasted thing for day after day. And it was really, really nice. And that's a picture of the Cayman Islands, not my picture, but that's where I was. So what I want to show you today is, and this is the thing I promise you, the number one thing you must get right to attract clients easily. And if you don't get this right, guys, it doesn't matter what else you do. It doesn't matter whether you blog or do e-zines or email letters or Facebook ads or anything else. It won't really work unless this is correct. And it's around the clarity theme. I want to show you how to start putting together the messaging that will just call your future clients to you easily, and in a way that they're actually ready to spend money with you without having to stress and panic and say things that are embarrassing or salesy or that make you feel super awkward. And it's actually way more simple than you think. And I'm going to show you this by giving you a little, I call it my 5 hottest magnets template, but it's the things you have to have, and they become the basis of every single piece of marketing copy you will ever need to write in your business. But this is foundational work. And then I also am going to give you a look at my whole 6-figure blueprint, because clearly this is part of it, not all of it. And then right at the end, I've got I've got these 2 little juicy bits of info that I think you're going to love. One of them is my $1 million niche question, which I think every entrepreneur needs to seriously ask themselves. And the other one is a huge energetic shift. I love mindset shifts. I can't say that. I sound like I've been drinking there. Oh my goodness, I'm not going to say that again. But the reason I like shifts, mindset shifts, is because it's not like something where you have to change a belief or you've got to learn and do a whole lot of work and practice. You can do it like this. You just look at something differently and it can change. And it's amazing the insights that you can give people just by asking them the right question or just looking at things differently. But this is a mindset shift that totally changes your client attractiveness. So how does that sound? Good? Yeah? All right. Well, let us move on then. So as promised, the number one thing that you must do, oh yes, I'm going to try and finish up in about 75 minutes here. So the number one thing that you must get right to attract clients easily, we've mentioned, is a little bit of clarity. And I'm going to stop and I'm going to ask somebody on the call to tell me what this picture looks like to them. I will unmute your line, but put up your hand if you can. And on your little GoToWebinar panel, you should see something that looks like a hand. But please put up your hand if you would like to tell us what you see. And if not, I'm going to do something desperate and pick on somebody, especially if it's somebody I know on the call, so beware if it's you. And all right, I'm not seeing any hands. Don't blame me for being shy. Let me see if I can pick on Tiffany. Tiffany, am I going to get into trouble if I pick on you? It looks like the line's muted down from your side, by the way. You might have a mute button.
Oh, there we go. How's that?
Hi, beautiful.
Okay. Hi. So you just want to know what I see when I look at that picture?
Yeah, what's it telling you? It's telling a little story. Tell us a story.
I see a fish kind of getting outside of his comfort zone and going to a more attractive area.
Nice. Okay. All right. That's great. Thank you for that. Thank you. Anybody else see anything else that they'd like to add? So, Tiffany, when you look at the story, do you think he's making the jump because it's more attractive?
I would say it just looks, well, the bull he's leaving just seems so bare and with his movement a little bit turbulent, and he's moving into a prettier environment that looks calm.
Okay, that's lovely. All right, I love that. Okay, so do you see like a before and an after here?
Yes.
Okay, that's really important because that's really the big thing that I want you to see. Every now and then I get somebody who's massively imaginative and they tell me, oh, this fish is making an enormous jump and taking a risk because fish don't like being out of water, and all of that's true, although when I chose this image, I never saw any of those things. I just saw the before and after. So thank you, Tiffany. Thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you.
So really, I think Tiffany's exactly right. What we're looking at here is, and it's pretty clear because there's not a lot of noise here, but there's a before situation This fish is in a pretty bare and barren bowl of water. He's probably bored stiff, and he's able to see that there's a much prettier, calmer, more attractive bowl of water on the other side, and he's prepared to take the leap. And the reason why this picture just says a lot to me is because an amazing niche, or an amazing, well, this is a niche that we're talking about, but it's more the clarity people have around your business. But most people who have not yet broken 6 figures are unable to easily say who exactly their business is aimed for. This is like, in this case, it's the fish, Mr. Goldfish. What the before state is, and what the desired after state is. So the before state is basically a problem, and the desired after state, guys, this is the reason people are going to spend money with you, and it's got to be pretty desirable. So if there'd been another bowl with water, but just maybe a little pebble, maybe the fish wouldn't have jumped. I mean, this obviously looks good enough to the fish that he's going to make the jump. So it's a transformational statement. It's got a before and an after and a reason why. And, you know, you might hear people refer to this as your big idea, or this is the purpose of your business. But I always, and the reason why this is so enormously important is these 3 things are just incredibly fundamental to every single piece of anything you would ever write in your business. It's the reason why people will do business with you, and it's also, funnily enough, the thing that's missing in most businesses under $100,000, and any part of it can be missing, and I'll go into it in a little bit more detail so you can see what goes wrong. But for now, let me just say that, you know, a powerful client attraction has 3 different aspects. Who is your ideal client? What is the problem that they have? And the problems, by the way, are the juiciest thing to sell with. So when you sell, problems are the part that sell. And a lot of service-based entrepreneurs hate this because they're like, no, I don't want to talk about the problems, and I just want to talk about the good, happy things. And the results work, but they don't work as well as the problems. So if you want to increase your client attractiveness, you probably want to start zoning in a little bit on the problems that your market has. And guys, in this day and age, if you do not have a rock star amazing result for a very big problem, it's very hard for a one-man business to really get going. So when I look at the many entrepreneurs I've worked with, and I have to say one of the huge problems I see is that they get results for little problems. Like I spoke to a lady yesterday, actually, who she's hoping to design a business that helps teachers find peace and happiness. Well, you know, we all want peace and happiness, but it's pretty vague, and it's pretty, it's not fixing a problem that's so big that a teacher says, I have to do this. So you take people who work really hard and probably don't have huge amounts of disposable income, and you take a fairly small problem and a fairly vague result, and what I know is she's programming in just a big, big struggle. Okay. So that's what I don't want for your business. I want there to be a clear, desirable result and a big fix to a big problem. That's really what tends to work best. And very often you just haven't thought about your business in those terms. So I would like to go into these 3 different aspects, and I want to get clarity around each one of them, and we're going to fill out a template. So let's start with the who. And I want you to think first and foremost, who are your ideal clients? And I wonder if I should set somebody on the call up. Nope, I'm feeling nice today. I won't do that. I'll just tell you. Because what I normally do if I'm feeling mean, and some days I am, I say to somebody, please describe your ideal client. And literally I've got about an 80%, 90% chance of somebody saying, my ideal client is a woman in transition, and she's open-minded, and she's spiritually focused, and she really likes me. She's my sort of person, and she's got lots of money. Okay. So if you are guilty of thinking of your ideal clients in those terms, let me tell you what won't work about that. Oh, and I heard a really good one the other day that really made me laugh. Because this is my trick question when I go networking, how I can find my clients or people I can really help. I say to them, who's an ideal client for you? And I hear some things, but I had one lady think carefully. You shouldn't have to think about this, guys. You should know. If you have to think about it, it's a problem right there. But she thought about it for a while, and she suddenly got this sort of beaming look on her face, and she said, I don't want anybody who's superficial. Well, and, you know, neither do I, by the way. I'm also looking for real people. So I totally understand what this sentiment was. But here's the problem with all of the statements that I just told you, is on none of those can you actually go to somebody and have that discussion with them. So what we really would like instead of this is we want a label or a name that they call themselves or that they recognize is theirs. And if you think, most of you are on this call because you probably recognize the term solopreneur or entrepreneur, because that's how I refer to my market. And let me give you an example, and I'm going to pick on Tiffany here, and I'm picking on her because I know her. She's actually a client. But Tiffany, I'm going to pick on you here, and just so that everybody knows, Tiffany is planning to never become a mother. So, and so Tiffany, tell us a little bit about labels that you might call yourself.
Labels I call myself?
Yes.
Well,
in fact, before you do that, when I told everybody you were never planning to become a mother, what went through your head?
It's like, she must be talking about the wrong Tiffany.
Okay. So Tiffany's quite pregnant at the moment. Okay. And I can't remember if you have another kid, Tiffany. I think this is your first, right?
No, this is my second. I have a soon-to-be 3-year-old.
So you're definitely a mom.
Yes.
So when I tell everybody you're not a mom, Tiffany immediately knows I'm not talking about it, or she thinks I'm confused, or she thinks I'm stupid. But she doesn't think, oh, that might not be me. Okay, she knows that she has attached the label mom. And I use this as an example, guys, because we're so emotionally attached to being a mom that I just want you to see the emotional attachment. Tiffany can't let go of being a mom because she just is. But that's the sort of label you want to be able to have for your ideal clients. It's called an egoic label because it means that they're attached in some way to that label. But that's how you want to call your ideal clients. And I should have actually found this for you. I've got an egoic label cheat sheet somewhere, but let me give you a couple of examples of egoic labels. Homeowners, wine lovers, singles, divorcees, retirees. You know, people will know these things. So you want to zone in on who it is that you actually want to work, and you've got to call them. And this is actually a way of like beckoning your clients to you. Because if you don't have this name for them, then pretty much every time you open your mouth and talk about your clients, everything you say is just doing this. I mean, have you guys, I don't know if you guys realize how much marketing bump has hit you today already. It's probably huge. But we're bombarded by marketing messages, and most of the time your clients just can't hear you. There's just way too much noise going on. So your ability to be really clear and focused on them is enormous. And one of the things that I just a little personal example I wanted to share with you, when I told you about my first difficult year as a business coach, I had 24 years of stunning corporate experience, and I couldn't really, I was just loath to let the corporate thing go because I was too good. I had too much. So I was trying to help corporate women and entrepreneurs. How clear is that? Okay, two zones that have completely different problems and completely different results. And it wasn't until I let go of the corporate side and just really sort of honored my desire to work with entrepreneurs. That was my first month at 10,000. I actually filled my business up completely in 6 weeks because I let go of the lack of clarity. And the only shift I made in my head really was that I'm going to work with entrepreneurs. So every time I started chatting about my business, I was much clearer, and every entrepreneur I spoke to knew that what I was speaking about was for them. So, and this is often such a shift, but if you, and the number of mistakes here, I've counted at least 19 that I've seen. You know, the niche is too broad, the niche is too, all sorts of different things. So, but this is really the one, of all the things that I could say, the one thing that's going to make the quantum shift in your business is probably just this. And yes, many of you probably can work with multiple clients. Put your hand up if that's you on the call, if you actually could work with a whole bunch of different people, so this has been hard for you. Okay, that's good. I'm not actually seeing lots of hands. That's good, but if that is your situation, then what I want you to do is choose. I just want you to choose. Okay, so I am seeing hands going up. But the thing to do is to choose the most ideal of your clients from that morass so that you can actually, and once you've chosen them, I'm going to show you why that gets you massively clearer on the problems and the results, so everything just tightens up and you become like a little marketing engine. So I'm going to switch over to the template that hopefully you received. We distributed this template before the call. So I hope you have it, but if you don't really worry. I just follow along and write down the words. It's a pretty simple template. So, and I'm actually going to switch to the filled out one so you can see how I'd like you to fill it out. But we're going to do number 1 now. So the way to fill it out is I am clear and focused about the target market that I serve, and the name they recognize is insert ideal client entity. And sorry, that's my that's my instruction to you. So I work with moms, and even if you could make it more specific, I work with moms of college-age kids, or I work with moms with newborns, or whatever the service may be. So that's really the amount of clarity that you actually want to go and have in that. So let me give you a minute to do that, and let me just check in with Dee. I know her hand might be up because I asked a question, but Dee, did you have a question, or is your hand up because I was asking questions? Dee? Okay, Dee might not be audible. So Dee, I don't seem to be able to hear you for some reason. So I want to put your hand down, and I see you've typed in a question. Oh, okay, it was just in response to my question. We're good. All right, so take a minute to fill out your template, and then I'll move on. Okay, is anybody who's hopelessly stuck? You will have to put your hand up. I'm not seeing any hands, and I'm not seeing any questions. I am seeing a hand, so let me open up Karen's line. Hi, Karen.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I don't know that I'm hopelessly stuck, but I'm thinking it may be too broad. I've identified people who are going through or anticipating significant change in their life.
Okay, I'm so glad you spoke up, and I'm just going to mute you down because I'm getting an echo on your line. I'll open it up in response. Okay, Karen, I'm really glad that you said that. So people who are experiencing, you said huge change?
Well, the word I used was significant, so yes, huge. But significant change, really life-changing change.
Okay, so what we've found is that when you say people who are experiencing significant changes, actually it's a little bit too vague for anybody. If you were standing on stage and saying that in an audience, it's too vague for people to say, gosh, she's talking to me. So I would strongly urge you to be, I'm so glad you shared this, because this is a really good example where Karen's thought, and she probably has some people in mind. So Karen, I'm going to give you ask you for some examples of the type of significant changes that you think you'd most like to work with.
Well, that's my initial statement, and then I go on to say that it could be the divorce or loss of a partner. It could be the loss or dramatic shift in their professional or business life. So I do try to tighten it up a little bit in that way.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm really glad that you shared this with us, and thank you for being brave enough to talk up on the call. So Karen, my best advice to you is to pick one of those. I think people, suddenly single would cover somebody who's lost a partner through divorce or death. So I think that could be held together, but you're coping with the loss of a partner. So I would give that fine, but honestly, and I've lost a partner and I've been divorced, so I could tell you that the problems that people have in that are so different to those of people who've lost a job and so on, that I feel like you will dilute your messaging forever trying to do both of those. So you can try and pull it off, but having worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs, I would really tell you your best shot is to pick one and do that. So I hope that's helpful for you. And Frank is actually asking, is recovering alcoholics too much of a turn-off, too specific? Frank, I love how specific it is. I think it's absolutely, if you were on stage in an audience saying that to people, it would be absolutely clear who you were talking to, and clarity is everything here. So, most people simply don't find their clients because they're trying to put their arms around so much that it gets vague. So, Frank, I think you're good. Thank you, guys. And I just keep an eye on the time here, so I'm trying to answer questions and get to everybody. But I hope that's given you a taste. So we've looked at the who. Let us look at, so that's thing one. And it's the hardest thing, but to me, I feel like the who is the coat hanger that everything else hangs off. Because once we know who we're talking about, then we can start getting really specific on the next thing. And the next thing is, I don't know why I run live presentations where I've got to juggle between GoToWebinar and PowerPoint and everything else. I think it just drives me crazy. But anyway, the next thing really is, and this is the thing that's going to call your future clients to you easily, is to get super clear on your ideal client's problems. So, and honestly, the problems here need to be super specific and kind of emotional and kind of as raw as you can make them. So we've had two examples here, Karen with people that have lost a partner and Frank with people that are recovering alcoholics. Both of those have pretty raw problems associated with them. But I want you to get as granular and as crisp as you can, and the best advice I can give you in terms of problems is to imagine that they've woken up in the middle of the night sweating about these issues, which we all do if it's a big enough problem. And we want big problems, guys. If you run a small business, you want something that's easy to sell, fix a big problem. So alcoholics and people who've lost partners, both of those are big problems. But I want you to imagine that your ideal client is woken up at 2 a.m. and what is the thought that she's having? How would she express the problem at that time of night? And that's the sort of clarity you want. You want it short and sweet and almost, as close to the gut and the core as you can. And what you don't want is your specialist terminology. Like you don't want to say, I need more consciousness and mindfulness around this topic, because that's not what somebody's thinking at 2 a.m. in the morning, I promise you. So let me give you a couple of minutes, and then I'd actually like to hear from some of you. So I'll give you 2 minutes to fill that in. And on the template, somebody told me the other day I did a really bad job on the template, that this is 2 through 4. But anyway, so we're busy filling out items 2 through 4. Okay. Anybody having any comments around finding those 3 problems? In the example that I've given you, I think we were actually talking about executives when I did fill this out. but we had, I'm so burnt out. And problem 2, extreme time pressures. I don't even think that's what you'd say at 2 a.m. in the morning. You would say, I have no time to do anything. It would probably be, that's probably the copy that you want because that's exactly how they would say it. When you use copy that matches what they say, then they decide that you are the most brilliant, smart, incredible, empathetic person who really, really gets them. That's kind of what you're looking for, is to speak their language. So did anybody have any problems around finding those problems? I'd like to hear some examples. And Karen, you had a question. So Karen actually asked from, and this wasn't Karen Ross, this is another Karen. But Karen actually asked me, and Karen, let me open up your line. I'll see if we can get you audible. Are you audible, Karen? Okay, I can't hear you, but let me answer your question anyway. Karen's question was, how about people looking to balance the spiritual and material worlds? And Karen, that's actually a really good example of something that just people aren't going to know who you're talking about, because people just don't label themselves that way. It's not an egoic label. It's not something like, and she's saying, yeah, I thought so. So what I pulled up for you while you were working through the exercise, let me share this with you guys, but this is a template that I share in one of my classes. But it's what I call my emotional identity template.
I can now because I'm in a class.
And this is really what I want to, this is kind of more what I want your who to look like. So it's a little bit small here. I'm trying to zoom in so you can see it. But these are examples of who's that work. Like, I help Christians, or I help non-smokers, or I help single women. And even if it's gender, like men, women, that's too big. You kind of need to combine it with something. So I help Muslim women, for example, would be a very good niche. And share some other examples for you. You can take it into jobs. I specialize in helping hairdressers to figure out how to put on hair extensions or something. I work with Mexican expats. That would be brilliant. That's really specific. I work with bikers. I work with swimmers. I work with boaters. I specialize in helping Mac users. So all of those are really specific. You can see how snappy it is, but people will either say yes or no. They'll know that they are that. Whereas Karen, I don't think they would know if they were, if they were. I mean, I don't know if you would consider me to be wanting to balance the spiritual and material worlds. I honestly don't even know. So it's just a bit on the vague side, and I'd like you to come up with 1 or 2 words that are a name that they would call themselves. So not a description of their personality and character. It's more a label. Does that make sense? Hope so. Good. All right. Thank you. Yeah, she's saying yes. Okay. So I'm not seeing any questions from anybody on the problems. So I'm going to assume that you are doing well on the problems. I'm keeping an eye on the time here. And let me get back to the presentation. So the next thing that we really want to do, and this is really because problems are very good for calling people to you, but it doesn't excite them enough to make a purchase. So just like the fish who saw their beautiful bowl of water with seaweed or whatever it was in it, you want to make it very, very clear, and you need to be very clear about what the results are that your clients are going to enjoy. So, and most entrepreneurs do a very lousy job of being able to articulate the results that people will get from working with them. And I'll give you a hint. 10 therapy sessions is not a result. It's what you're going to do with them. But, the result is that they won't get divorced, or they won't be addicted to shopping anymore, or, that's the result. So let's talk a little bit more about the results. Oh, I'm getting ahead here. I'm really getting ahead here. Let me go back. So you really want to focus on the result they receive after they work with you. So I always feel like the way to imagine that is to say, okay, they're going to work very hard with, let's say we'll pick on Amy, but let's say they work with, when Amy is finished working with this client, what results will they have experienced after working with a fabulous Amy? So that's how you want to think about when they're long gone finished with you, what's that result? List the most dramatic results you can think of, because guys, we're marketing, so you really want to go for the things that are big. So really, if I didn't mention to you that I have clients who come in and are having $10,000 months within 2 or 3 months, I'd be crazy. Is it the norm? No. But I do have the clients who come in and are able to do that with a few little tweaks. So you do want to add the dramatic results because you're showing people what's possible with you. And you also want to search for the deeper benefits, like what do they really want? And it's amazing here, but most human beings, when you strip away all the, I don't know what to call it, I'm just going to call it BS and the layers and the noise, we all want the same things. We want to matter. We want people to love us. We want amazing families. We'd like to feel like we are important and we make a difference. So go deep. Go really deep into the things that people are really desiring and yearning for. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes now to fill out number 5. My number 1 result is, and insert the fabulous result that you're able to get. And in my example here for corporate execs, we decided we'd give them an extra 2 hours a day. The more specific you can be with a problem and a result, the better. You don't want to be vague and out there. You want to be very specific and tangible. Yeah, so Frank, no, vague is not okay here. You want to be very specific. Authentic sense of self is too vague, Karen. Here's the thing. People don't wake up in the morning. You imagine somebody waking up in the morning thinking, oh my goodness, today I just have to go and get an authentic sense of self. And I know you're pulling sad faces at me, and I'm sorry, girl, but really, people don't wake up in the morning and say, man, I need that authentic sense of self. I'm going to do what it takes. But let me ask you, and I wish I could get you audible, but we don't seem to be able to, but why do they want an authentic sense of self? So that they can, because that's probably the thing. Why is an authentic sense of self important? And, I don't know what niche you're going into, but, let's assume that you were going into a dating niche and you were helping people find the love of their life. Well, then an authentic sense of self is important so that you can be magnetic and confident, the number 1 thing that attracts guys into your life. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So people can see their value. And why is seeing their value important? And I'm not trying to be difficult, but sometimes to keep asking why till you get to the value. And if they can see their value, how will their life change? Okay, she's saying I see. So she's thinking about that. But think how their life will change once they get all of those things. And generally, so that you can, or why, is a question you want to keep asking until they're specific. All right, guys, so I think some of you are getting it easily and some of you are really struggling, which means that you have a clarity issue. And don't be sad if you have a clarity issue. It's 85% of entrepreneurs are really struggling to get clear on this, but it does tell you you need more work in this area if you're not able to come up with pretty specific things here. So it's probably giving you a clue as to where you are stuck in your business. And it's the first big, there's... As a business coach, there's very predictable stages that I can see where people will have breakthroughs. Number 1 is they decide to get into business. Number 2 is they lock down on a solid niche that actually works. And it's a big, big breakthrough. The next one is when they figure out how to get clients reliably. The next one is when they start delegating and letting go and building up a team. So there's very predictable things that will stick people. But if you can't get through the niche stick, nothing else is really going to work incredibly well. So what I want to assure you of now that you've done your best to get a specific who, problem, and result, you actually have the basis for every piece of copy, whether you are talking about your elevator speech, your 60-second commercial, your website, your Facebook ads, your flyers, brochures, etc., because all of this really goes on and on about everything you're going to do everything you're going to do with marketing uses these words, and all the other stuff probably just needs to fall away so that you become an effective marketing machine. And guys, I don't want to minimize how difficult it is for some people. I've got some folks saying, you know, that they really have been struggling with this. It's a, you know, we often see, it's a bit like having a baby. You can't always do it quickly. You know, it takes 9 months to have a baby. Sometimes you've just got to go through the birthing pains of your niche. But don't give yourself permission to stop and think. Go and act. Go and try and sell. Go and talk to people. See how interested they are. Because then you're getting constant feedback on what works and what doesn't. But most times when people can't sell, this is the problem. It's just going straight over their head, or it's not addressing a problem that their market has, or not a big enough problem, or the client has the problem, but they can't see the result that they're going to get. So it really is quite the ugly little situation. So let's move on now. But what I really want you to do is just to be able to go back to here, to your little template. And I want to show you how you pull together these amazing things to come up with really great messaging. So the magic formula you've got in the template, but here's our little example for, and I think when I filled this out, we were looking at corporate execs. So a really good slogan is, I help corporate execs to free up an extra 2 hours a day. You know, now when somebody comes up and says to you, hey, what do you do? They are so not looking for the 10 to 15-minute lecture from you. And I know you guys have had this, or when we've all had it where we ask somebody, what do you do? And then we really regretted asking, right? It's not very client attractive. You can chase people away. So you want something to be just enticing and fabulous enough that they really ask you more. So the first thing is, I help corporate execs to free up an extra hour a day. And if you're talking to a frazzled, busy corporate exec, I think you'd probably say, gosh, how do you do that? And then you've actually earned the right to go on and say, well, you know how corporate execs so often struggle with huge burnout and major time pressures? Some of them even have a family who seldom sees them anymore. And he'll be like, oh, yeah, nodding his head. Well, and at this point, you know, you're just, those are just the problems you're plugging in, right? So it's the who and the problems. And at this point, he's already decided you totally get him, you're really smart, you're really in tune with what's going on. But I specialize in helping them recapture their passion at work, home, and play. So I've used a slightly different result here to the extra 3 hours a day. But that really is the essence of the magic formula. So the first sentence has the who and the biggest result. That's here, who. And here's the biggest result. The next sentence has the who, and then it lists 3 different problems that you came up with, 3 big problems. And then here we have one of your different results, maybe not your biggest one, but one of the big results you have. Then I want to just show you how to amp up this discussion even more. You could say, even if they don't think they have time for another thing. And I love to insert the biggest objection because, you know, human nature is, as somebody's trying to say anything to you, your mind's always objecting, saying, oh, that wouldn't work for me. I don't even have time to work with somebody on this. So you would take whatever biggest objection you always hear and give it to them. Like if people always tell you you're too expensive, you might say, even if they think they can't afford this. And then I also love being able to tell them what do you want them to do next. So what is the call to action that you want from them? So if this is something you are interested in, please give me your business card, or please give me your phone number and I'll call you tomorrow and set up a coffee date, or please go to my website, or please call this number. But tell them what you want them to do, because we just leave this off a lot of our messaging, and it's a pity because it's a good place to put it in. So guys, what this really gives you, if you have a look at it, is it actually gives you quite a bit of copy. It would give you a really good answer when somebody says, so what do you do? And it's a nice answer because it's short. It's about 15 seconds, and that's actually about what they're interested in. And it is compelling, and it's clear. So if you're talking to a corporate exec, or you're talking to the wife of a corporate exec who's over busy, they'll know, they'll respond. You could also have this as a slogan. So on your website, you could, instead of saying I help, you could say helping corporate execs to get an extra 2 hours a day would be a great slogan. So you just say helping instead of I help. But then it also is your 30-second commercial, or, you know, so down to there is probably your 30-second commercial. And if you add the 2 bonus things in, you're probably getting more into your 60-second commercial. So that will get you around a B&I group or whatever. But that's a really good example of very compelling messaging. And by the way, if you were to take this sheet and give it to anybody who was writing copy for you or a web designer, they would be very, very happy and very in love with you because it's really, really good messaging. It just really helps. So, and I think I've got an example here. I think I do. Let me just see. I think I do, yes. So, yeah, so here's my example. And I just did one for my business, but the 30-second commercial. I help solopreneurs to break 6 figures in record time. So it is short, and I promise you it's enticing to solopreneurs that are struggling to do that. And that's all I say when people ask me what I do. And when I'm asked further, I say, well, you know how many solopreneurs struggle to get enough high-paying clients to make real money? There's so much to learn. Well, I specialize in helping them build a strong pipeline of clients excited to do business with them. So that actually just works really, really well. So there's 2 options of where you are now. You're either the lights are coming on and you're able to just plug in the blanks and have this great messaging, or alternatively, you're not there and you're just struggling with trying to get granular enough and you're not sure what your label should be and you're not sure what your who is and you're maybe trying to decide who your who is and it's difficult for you. And honestly, guys, you know, that phase is a very, very common phase in most entrepreneurs I work with. There's this phase they go through before everything clicks into place. So don't get too upset about it. It's normal, and you will get through it, and things will click into place. But I thought it might be a little bit helpful for you to have a look at the entire 6-figure blueprint. I wanted to show this to you anyway, but I want to show you what a huge part of it this is. So hopefully I can find the document for you. Okay, I'm zoomed in a bit, and I did get some feedback that it's hard to read, guys, so thank you. I always love getting feedback. Let me zoom in a little bit more so that you guys can actually... Okay. So it's really divided into 3 different sections, right? Clarity, clients, and cash, as I told you. And we're working today on just aspects, actually, of the clarity. So all we've spoken about today is who will you serve, their problems, and how to do a bit of messaging. So we've just touched on a couple of these, but you can see it's quite a big, actually I can't zoom in that far, it's too hard to read. It's quite a big area, just the clarity, but a lot of it is getting clear on your purpose. What are you really here to do? I also like to work with people on how much money is enough, because quite frankly, some people pick a business where somehow they think they're going to make, you know, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year when nobody in the industry is making $50,000. That's just crazy talk. You know, so everybody wants to know what the top number is. I'm always more interested in what the bottom number is. How much is enough? You know, how much will actually make you happy and let you live the lifestyle that you want? But I feel like these are sort of basic things that people don't always look at. And then researching who you'll serve and understanding their problems is fundamental work. And I'm really of the mindset that it's more about who you can serve and who you can make a big difference for than what you want to do. Because most service-based entrepreneurs are happy if they're making a difference. And I just feel like a lot of people get stuck on what they think they're meant to do. And my experience has been the minute they're serving and making a quantum shift for people, they're very happy. But find people who really need you. Don't find a service that's hard, very hard to sell. And then it's building a really rock star solution to a really big problem. You know, and it takes time. I've been in this business for 4.5 years, and I'm finally really, really happy with what we do, and we get really, really good results. But I can tell you that we constantly improve. So I think I started off okay, and I think we've just got better and better and better every year. So it's not something that happens overnight, but you better straight out the gate have something that's a really good solution. And then I also feel like there's this phase of actually having to commit to a niche that will actually bring you 6 or 7 figures depending on where you're aiming. Because when you're like, when the jury's out and you're sort of very tentative. It just shows you aren't excited enough, you aren't enthusiastic enough, you aren't committed enough, you don't put your money where your mouth is, you say different things to different people, gets in your way. And then you get the client attractive messaging and copy. And that really is breakthrough number one in your business. And that really, for many people, will take them to 6 figures all by itself, but more likely sort of 50 to 80K is what I see more often. The next big thing is really figuring out how to get a client. Or no, actually, that's not it at all. You really want to figure out how to get enough clients, and you want to get them repeatedly and in a process that you can just repeat and repeat and repeat. So you don't always want to have a client, work with them, have nothing, start the whole process over again, because it's exhausting and it's not encouraging and it's soul destroying. So you really want to have a process design that is reliable and will reliably get you clients. And the way we do this is we really help you pick 3 marketing methods suited to your industry, develop extreme skills in each marketing method. You know, so most people try like 10 marketing methods. So they're on social media, and they're writing e-zines, and they're trying to do a blog, and they're networking, and they're trying to speak. And guys, this is too much. I mean, no one person can do all of those things. So what will happen is you'll do all of them in a mediocre way, and you're probably never going to rock the world with any of them. And it's much better if you pick the ones that suit you and really get good of them. But the thing that I see goes wrong with everybody, and I'm saying this because I'm going to give you something really special about this in a moment. The thing that I see that goes hugely wrong is most people just don't know how to attract masses of attention from their market. So this whole business about having a whole big pipeline that's just really buzzing about you, that's the thing that really goes wrong. And then once you have that, how do you create a powerful relationship from once you attract attention all the way through to the first sale, which for most entrepreneurs is generally about 5 touches. It doesn't happen the first time somebody meets you. There's the whole art of mastering a sales conversation that turns strangers into clients. And this is so that you can sit down with somebody you've never spoken to before, and an hour later they're prepared to spend thousands with you. It's an art form, and it takes practice, and you need to learn it, and you need to learn how to close effectively and fast. And I have discovered that most service-based entrepreneurs hate this entire process, and what they always say to me is, if only I just want to work with them. I don't want to have to sell them, okay? Does that sound like you? Yeah? So I know this because I hear it a lot. But guys, to be totally honest, first and foremost, you're in the business of marketing and sales. And secondly, you're in your chosen passion. Because if you can't get this part right, nothing, you know, clearly the business isn't going to thrive. And then finally, and this is the best part, and the cash part, people are normally in 6 figures before they get here, but I love focusing on this because often there are multipliers. We can take what people are doing and double, treble, quadruple what they're earning pretty easily, just with a bit of cash smarts. So there's a few things here, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but one of them is you've got to have compelling offerings. The other one is pricing. Most entrepreneurs don't price very well. You want to create constant upsells and some way to take the clients you have so you don't have to keep selling them. Then there's a whole lot of, they're a bit sneaky. I never know how I feel about these, but they work like crazy. Adding limiters and bonuses and other options and income multipliers to your offerings. Packaging and leveraging is huge. You know, when you start off in a business and you're going to be working one-on-one with clients, you dream of having a practice that's filled with one-on-one clients until it happens. And then your life's a nightmare. And you suddenly realize, oh my goodness, I'm not making enough money and I'm working like crazy. What else can I do? Time to package and leverage. So that's a very sort of predictable phase as well. And then choosing a delivery model that supports your lifestyle and desired income. You know, if you live on a remote lake in Minneapolis with no people around you, then networking is not going to be a great fit for you in a local market. For you know, then becoming internet savvy and doing internet marketing is a good fit. So it's really choosing a delivery model that works for you. And then once you've got most of this working, the next big thing that takes you into 7 figures is how can you automate and scale and repeat what's really working in your business, and how can you get rid of everything else. So that really is, and you can see there's 20 different things here, guys, and each one of these is a project on its own. So, so there's basically just a lot to do. You know, I always like to think that I like to say to people it's simple, but it's not simple. So we've touched again on some of the clarity topics here, and we've really just had a very quick touch on 3 of these topics inside clarity. But I did want to tell you about something that I have coming up in September, and I think that you will find this really interesting. And I've never done this before, but I'm going to do something that I'm called in my heart to do. And this really is because I can't stand people struggling in their businesses. So let me give you a heads up and get any agony out of the way. I'm going to offer you something that costs $200. But if you're interested, and I think you will be, I am going to, it's only in September, so it's ages away, I'm going to give you something that I sell well for $2,000. So I'm just going to try and make it as no-brainer as possible if this is interesting to you. But what I have coming up that I think you'll be interested in is, we've looked at that. And those are just the 3 little bits we spoke about today. But I am teaching on a stage in Boulder, Colorado in September, the entire blueprint. Day 1 is clarity, day 2 is clients, and day 3 is cash. So I'm teaching the full blueprint from stage. The event's called 12 Months to 6 Figures. I have one big flagship event each year. Those are the dates, and that is the website 12months-to-6figures.com. And if I was a good presenter, I'd have got there ahead of time. But what I want to show you about this event, we're probably going to have several hundred entrepreneurs there. We usually do. And the event is amazing. It's like coming into just one of the best things about my job is the clients I work with. I have fabulous, extraordinary, amazing clients, and I'm deeply grateful for the people that seem to be attracted to me. But our tickets have just gone on sale, and we have a 10-day special going on, and you're right at it. So I wanted to make sure you were offered this today. It ends next week, and the tickets are $200, but they go up steadily between now and now and September. They're just under $1,000 at the door, and in 2 weeks' time they're going to cost $125 more. So there is an amazing price right now, and on the website you can get the $200 ticket for another, about another 10 days. But what you can't get is what I want to offer you, and I said that I would offer you a $2,000 something. But this is a special only for the guys that showed up live on the talk today. So let me tell you a little bit about that. But because people have struggled so much with how do I get my messaging right, and how do I build a process from when somebody's interested to turn them into a client, I have this amazing 7-part coaching program that really helps you build a repeatable process for getting masses of clients. It's 7 hours of expert training. It has 12 juicy scripts and templates. The little template with the egoic labels, or the one that I showed you here, is actually from that class, as are many, many others. And I'm really big on sort of templates and showing people how to. So it's a massively valuable class, and it really goes much deeper into why you need to do marketing this way. It goes much deeper into the who, the problem, the result, and then it really shows you, once you have your message together, what do you actually need to do to have a repeatable process. We even have a 10-step template to show you this is how we build the repeatable process to get masses of attention, and then what to do with it once we get the masses of attention. I have a title template in there that will rock your world, but all you've got to do is publish the title, and people will come to your events and so on. So, and I'm just going to throw that in if you sign up today with your ticket purchase. So let me actually go, and what I should have done before the event, I told you guys it was far from perfect, but let me actually take you to the event website so you can see what it looks like. But it is 12, the number, 12 months to 6 figures, like that. And if I hear the video on it again, I think I'll slit my throat because I've heard that music so often, I don't like it anymore. View, zoom out. I don't know why I'm zoomed in so much. Too late, I heard the music. But what I want to show you is that just where to go. You can go and read up all about it, but you really want to go to the registration page. And that is really the page where you can get the details of what's included in the package. And guys, right now, I mean, we are just having so many amazing things happening with this event. It's all coming together. I've got incredible speakers coming. The standard ticket is the one that's $200. There's a VIP upgrade, and I've got some amazing speakers that are all giving fabulous gifts to my VIPs. So you might want to consider that, but you don't have to. But anyway, that's where you go in, and that's where you sign up. So I really do want for you guys to do this. So having said that, I just want to say two more things here. I want to give you a little story. This is actually one of my how to order. This is the website you want to go to, 12months-to-6figures.com. It's the number 12 and the number 6, and I'll send you that in a little email afterwards. But this is a little story about one of my clients last year who came in, and I just want to read her testimonial because I really just want you to know what's possible. The year prior to working with Tommy, my company made a total of $3,500. During my year of working with Tommy, I came just shy of $100,000. That means Tommy helped me go from practically zero to a 6-figure business in 12 months. So that is the lovely Micah. But I just want to show you guys, you know, this is possible. It's not it's not pie in the sky, and it's not a get-rich-quick scheme at all. That's why it takes a long time. But I go through at the events that I'm offering you a ticket to. I take the key parts of my 12-month program, the things that most people stick with or really get stuck with, like the conversation of how to turn somebody from a stranger to somebody who will spend multiple thousands with you in an hour. I teach that whole conversation from stage. I teach you some of the money multipliers that make a massive difference. I teach you, we help you select your best client attraction methods, like the 3 that suit your form of business, and then show you how to do that and turn it into a repeatable process. So it really is a most extraordinary event. And I also want you, and I say this with love in my heart, guys, so, but I just want to say all stages of business really do need this. And I just want you to think about what it might be worth to you. So I'm asking for $200. It's not a big cash purchase by anybody's standard. I've given you a $2,000 program that's probably worth way more than that. But the question I want to ask you is, how long do you think it would take you to figure it out on your own? Question. And how much revenue do you think you're losing every month that you don't get it right? So I'd like you to just honestly answer those questions. Do you think in the next 6 months you'll figure it out, or do you think maybe in the next 3 months or whatever? And how much money do you think you're losing every single month that you don't get it right? And I really want this to be the very smartest investment you've ever made. And I'll be honest, I want to rock your world. I want you guys to, like many of my clients do, which I'm grateful for, is say, meeting Tommy was the best thing I ever did. That's what I want, I humbly want, because I want you guys to just turn around and have your businesses go amazing. So that's my wish for you. I hope that we will see you at the event. But let me just finish off. I did promise you 2 juicy business game changers. So let me tell you what those are. One of them was the $1 million niche question. And the $1 million niche question is, you ready? Where can I find my ideal clients easily and inexpensively? And if you can't find them, stop. This is a major, major issue. If you don't know where to find your target market, or you've got no way of reaching them, this is a big problem. This is a big gotcha in a business, and you kind of need to stop until you can figure it out, because if you can't figure it out, you're going to really struggle to sell, period. And then the other thing was a huge energetic shift to change your client attractiveness forever. It's not about you. If you could take, or, you know, and if you imagine like this beam of incredible entrepreneurial energy sitting over your head, and you probably feel it every day in your business, all the energy, you're trying to be amazing. But if you can take that whole ball of energy and just kind of like put it on your ideal client and say to them, you and all your amazingness and your vulnerability and all the things you struggle with and all the things that are hard for you, how can I help you? And when they tell you your prices are too high, just remember it's not actually about you. It's about what they're ready for. It's about what they're brave enough to do. It's about what they're prepared to step up. It's who they want to be. And 94% of entrepreneurs are obviously very prepared to be average. There's a small percentage that are prepared to be extraordinary. So just remember, all of those things are going in, and it's never about you. It's just if you can put that energy on your client, you will just find your client attractiveness shifting in a very powerful way pretty much forever. So I'm glad to leave you with that, guys. I'm honored to have spent the time with you today. Let me just see if I have any unanswered questions before I go. I'm not seeing it, but I did just want to double check it. Nope, I'm not seeing any other questions. So let me finish off just by giving you that URL again. It is www.12months6figures.com. And we'd love to see you there. And mostly I'd love you to get the benefit of my from Contact to Client program. And what will happen is as you sign up for the ticket, you will get a confirmation on the ticket. I'm honestly not sure if my operations manager has set up the Contact to Client bonus for today. I think he hasn't because he's moving house. So if you don't get that today, please don't be alarmed. I will get it to you tomorrow. And this offer is really only good for today. So please make sure that if you're going to do it, you do it today. And I am seeing a few extra questions come on. So I don't know why I can't see the question panel anymore. Let me see what's happening with that. There it is. Okay, thank you, Frank. He said, thank you so much, you're awesome. Thank you, Frank, you're awesome too. And good luck with your recovering alcoholics. That sounds like a cause greater than yourself, which makes me happy. So good for you. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Oh, Karen, you had a question. Go ahead, your line's open.
Yes, I was just curious. I thought there was a date, it was June 15th or something, but then you said one offer is only good today, so I'm a little confused on that.
Where did I say June 15th? Oh, June 15th is a $200 price point. So that's just, let me go back to the pricing page and then I think it'll be clear to you. And so any time between now and June 15th, you can go and get the ticket from my website. So the way the website's been set up is there's a $200 ticket there. So if you go and have a look at the website, you'll see that.
But then you talked about the $2,000.
That's not on the website. It's not available on the web. It's available to you on this webinar, and it's only available today. I don't have it set up on the website, so I don't want to offer that to the world. It's too valuable.
Okay.
So the $200 ends on June 15th, but the $2,000 gift. I just want to rock your world, Karen. I want to make it a no-brainer for you to just say this is too good to not do. So, and September's like September 3rd. I'm the world's most impatient person. If I'm excited about something, I want something now. So I want to put something in your inbox before the weekend so that you can start studying some. It's some of my best material ever is in that program. I'm super proud of it. So,
is it possible to call and get some clarification on that? Is there someone we can talk to?
I better just stay on the line and answer it for you now because we're on stage all of tomorrow, and I just want to keep it open today. Otherwise, it's too hard for us to monitor where the sales are coming from. So I'll just stay on the line and answer any questions, or you can call our office directly right now. Would that help?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Fine? Okay, so here's the number: 303-534-1019.
Thank you.
All right. Good. You're welcome. Okay, folks, thank you. I hope that was super helpful for you, and I hope we'll see you at the event. Take care. Bye-bye.